This is First Step.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Step podcast. My name is Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back. We're back from a little hiatus. Papa was in the hospital. Papa's back for you. We had a few weeks that we were off. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. With me today, I have the one, the only, Stupid Stu. Stu, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. We're at the halfway point of college football, and we've already seen chaos. We're all excited.
College football's in a good place right now. We just left week 6. A whole bunch of chaos happened. Talk about like a volcanic weekend of college football. A bunch of upsets. We had four top 25 teams lose, 5 top 25 teams lose, something like that. It was an incredible weekend as a college football fan, as a sports fan, as a football fan. There's nothing more than I love to see than watch Alabama lose. Let's talk about it. Vanderbilt finally beats Alabama. I mean, we're talking about technically a small program, right? Like Vanderbilt's not known to be a football school. This is a program that's kind of been up and coming, not too big. Starting slow, building up their program here, and they took down number 1, man. I mean, this is number 1 Alabama just come off beating Georgia. Did you watch the game first of all?
Yes, I did, and very impressed with Vanderbilt the way they played. Actually, they did the celebration better than they did the game. I mean, I think those goalposts are still getting marched. They're like 5 miles off campus. The hurricane might blow them down here to South Florida, so we might see those in our front yard soon. So I got to give it to them.
I was watching that, man. That river is not close to the stadium. That's about like a 3 or 4 mile walk. I think if that was Miami fans, we would have left it like right outside the stadium. Just deal with it. Like
they took it by the whole downtown through the Predators area, the Nashville Predator. It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. It made me want to move to Nashville. I just wanted to go to Nashville and be part of that party, man. It looks like such a great time. Alabama, are we shooting alarms, or is this just like, man, or are they just like coming off a big win and then they just weren't prepared at all?
Shooting alarms in Alabama. That's the truth. Those Crimson Tide fans are very, very passionate. And you lose your 3rd SEC game to Vanderbilt as Kalen DeBoer, that's not going to go over well over there. Am I shooting alarms? No, I think Alabama's still an unbelievable team. Great offensive line, great quarterback. Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. Their recruiting class next year is out of control. I think this program is fine, but I mean, that's a tough one to swallow. Now that's going to make his next loss even more tough to just pat right off.
I think that's the issue, right? We talk about in this college football playoff. One loss isn't going to kill you because you're most likely going to go to the playoffs. But a loss to Vanderbilt when you still have big games coming up, that's what sucks. Because now 2 losses, 3 losses, that's where it's going to really mean something. That might not get you into the SEC tournament.
I know, but it's tough to see what to make of this Vanderbilt loss because Vanderbilt, you beat Alabama, then you take Missouri to double overtime, you almost upset them on the road. You beat Virginia Tech in overtime. Virginia Tech's a top 35, top 40 team. That's a heck of a win. But then they go out and lose to Georgia State.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Vanderbilt's just one of these teams that's, man, they're flowing with the Nashville River out there, and
they're giant killers.
It's hard to put a point on them. I mean, even this week, it's going to be hard to predict them in Kentucky. Kentucky's kind of the same way. Not to get off there, but I mean, Kentucky did the same thing. Absolutely blowing out. Huge win against Ole Miss and a tight game. And then you get blown off the field by South Carolina at home. So I mean,
yeah,
it's one of these teams.
Another big loss. Missouri falls to Texas A&M. Took them down 41-10. I think Missouri's got some issues here, man. I don't even know. I would have dropped them off the top 25 in my ranking. That game looked ugly. They looked like they just didn't have it in them. I didn't like Missouri at all that game.
Yeah, Mizzou's. They're called a mid-Missouri. They're just a middle team at best in the SEC, and it's going to stay like that.
Yeah, a little rematch also in Michigan. A little Washington, Michigan. Washington take the dub. Obviously, not the same teams they were last year, but it was nice to see them get a little bit of revenge. And then sad news for you, buddy, Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean. You could see it coming. Arkansas is a really good team, man. They really do play well. Taylor Green is an unbelievable quarterback. You have that athleticism, and it kind of negates Tennessee's up front defensive line. And they were able to put together a few big drives. They went out there and won that game. And really, Tennessee just, Nico had a bad game. The offense just did not.
Offense looked exposed a little bit. Did not move the ball as well as we hoped for.
Yeah, very clunky. Tennessee's having real issues on tackle. Their left tackle and right tackle have been hurt. They tried to suit up and play. They played, but they did not play well. I mean, one of them's Jordan Campbell from Miami, who used to play down here. Big guy out of South Florida, but they just don't have the depth there yet, and it's hurting them. It's really hurting them.
I'm excited for it. Talking about Miami, a tough game against Cal. That's two games in a row, right? Because Virginia Tech wasn't easy peasy. Cal definitely not easy peasy. I knew Cal was going to be difficult. Something about going to Cal, seeing that offense play, man, they kind of exposed our secondary. Not that we played awful defensively. I mean, we're talking about 5 big plays they scored on. But other than that, we kind of controlled the game entirely. But our offense was just Cam Ward is a blessing. What a blessing to watch that man play.
Yeah, Miami got really lucky. Really lucky in this one. Virginia Tech, they played a bad first half, and then they responded in the second half. Cal had every bit to deserve to win this game. They outplayed Miami for almost 75% of the game. Justin Wilcox, great scheme. They're leading the country in interceptions, great passing concepts back there. I thought they had a really good plan in place against the Hurricanes. But what the Hurricanes are doing is they're making a lot of big adjustments at half. Guidry kind of didn't have a very good job on the defensive side, and then he held that Cal to 10 yards in the fourth quarter. He shut down Virginia Tech late in the game, and it's been just enough because that guy Cam Ward, he can keep you in every game no matter what. And Miami got lucky. He got real lucky. I don't know how Cal let a busted coverage on Restrepo with 2 minutes left in that game. I mean, that was unbelievable on their end. But
I think with Miami, what I'm seeing is a difference between like last year and this year, and maybe from the years prior, is we don't look when we're down on a game, we're not looking defeated, right? I think Mario Cristobal has the locker room. He has these people's ears. He's getting them pumped up. Cam Ward is the definition of calm, cool, and collected. As a QB, that guy does not get rattled. I mean, he throws an interception there, whatever. That's what happens when you have a gunslinger quarterback. Not a big deal. He's super smooth, doesn't get hurried, has such great presence inside the pocket, and I love watching him play. I think we could talk about it a little bit. I see him as a top 5 candidate for the Heisman, absolutely. Maybe not first, but at least second. I think if they keep making a play at it, he absolutely should be in the conversation for the Heisman.
He's second in my polling right now for the Heisman, and it's not close. I think he's number 2.
He's incredible.
Sure.
He's incredible.
Outright.
He's playing well. He's making his receivers look like all-stars. He looks like he's leading this team, a team that, mind you, he just took charge of, right? He just got the reins on this year. Hasn't been there for 4 years. This is a guy who just jumps in the system and looks like a leader. And man, I'm really excited to watch him play. I think he's actually going to be a good NFL QB. I like the way he plays. I like his pocket presence. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this guy in the future.
2 of his best throws were actually dropped, where he threw one out of the screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horton dropped it. Colby dropped it. It's funny you mentioned. I thought the best thing you mentioned is when Cam Ward had that uncharacteristic pick, which was not very good. Trying to do too much there. The dialogue between Mario and Cam on the sideline, actually, this team's taking on the identity of Mario. They're very intense. They're very serious. They didn't get too down on themselves. There wasn't this whole yelling at the quarterback situation. Yeah. They got up. They have this whole motto, get to the next play. Just it's one play, move on. And we've seen that with Miami. And this Miami team is going to be tough to beat. They're dealing with serious injuries at key positions, and they're starting to get healthy. You already saw it with Bain coming back. He missed a few tackles, but he was real close to making some impactful plays. Yeah. And Miami's one of this team. They have big margin of error with the way Cam Ward can bring you back in these games. They're not live and die by one mistake like maybe a Michigan would, or somebody who just can't open it up. They can beat you in a lot of different ways. And they have some issues on the back end with the tackling. I don't know if they could resolve the tackling, and there's not a lot of speed back there. Yeah. But the front seven's not playing that as bad as people think, and the coaching's been phenomenal.
Yeah, coaching's been great. Game management is great. I think that secondary is just kind of our weakness, and we get exposed. A lot of missed tackles. I like Miami a lot this year. I think Miami has kind of a very easy record or schedule from here on out. they have a real chance to make it into the playoffs. I'm excited for them. I want to see what they do against like these bigger teams. I know they're ranked right now. They're ranked what, 6? That's fair. I feel like they really haven't had these big wins yet. But I really do see him as a top 5 team. Speaking of Cam Ward, we talked a little bit of him. You have him as number 2 in the Heisman. I have him right now as number 3, 2, 3. Let's talk a little bit real quick about some Heisman futures here. I think Ashton Genty, Boise State running back, absolute beast, super impressive. I mean, we're talking about a team that just lives and dies by the running back. I have him as my first option for Heisman right now. He leads it. He leads in rushing TDs, leads in yards per carry, leads the country in all-purpose yards, leads the country in rushing yards at 1,031, leads the country in total points scored at 96. I mean, to have him not first is rough. I like him a lot about first. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think he's ahead by a country mile. He's first in the country in 5 stats, like you said, and it's not really close in a lot of those stats.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 4 more touchdowns than the next guy. He's 2.5 more yards per carry than the next guy. It's spectacular, and they're going to need him. Boise does not play very good defense, so they're going to need him to keep this production up. I hope he stays healthy and gets the volume, and I have no doubt the talent's there. And it was Utah State, but he threw a guy to the dirt with a stiff arm last week and accelerated. It was unbelievable to watch that. He's actually on pace to tie like Barry Sanders right now.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
The best seasons we've seen all time. This kid's unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, if he wasn't there, I would say Ward's almost a shoo-in, but he's playing incredible, record-breaking season as a running back. I miss having running backs who win the Heisman. My number 3, I believe your number 3 as well, Jalen Milroe, who's quarterback at Alabama. I know we're sick and tired of talking about quarterbacks in Alabama, and they're kind of always disappointing in the NFL, but he's playing really well. I like him. Kind of a dual threat. Puts up big numbers, big performances, big games. Did take the loss in Vanderbilt, so I don't know if that works against him. Does he drop on the rankings right now?
It does. I mean, he was the outright winner after the Georgia week, but I think he's got plenty of opportunity to get back in it. I'm not sure they're gonna get back in it. I mean, Alabama's got a tough schedule coming down the road here too. But yeah, Jalen Milroe, first in the country in passing efficiency, 7th in rushing TDs. That rushing element with Jalen Milroe can get him back in this thing if Alabama holds the season together. I do think he's got a little bit of distance between him and the top 2, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think between him and Cam Ward, there's a little bit of juice there. My next guy, we talked about him before. We love him. Excuse me. We love him here. Travis Hunter. I think this is more of when we're talking about a pure athlete, some guy you want on your team. Give me Travis Hunter. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman, though. I think he deserves to be in a conversation. I do not think he deserves it. I just don't think that player, that team, has the luxury of winning a Heisman this year. But I do like him a lot. I really think he's a great player. You have anybody else that you're looking at?
I think Cade Klubnik actually might be jumping him. And this is crazy
From
to
Clemson,
say.
Right?
Klubnik's been bad his first 2 years. Used to just have these mental lapses and fumbles and all kinds of bad turnovers. He's been unbelievable this year. He's been really unbelievable. Clemson fans are talking about it. They're ecstatic. He's throwing a ton of touchdowns, ton of pass yards. He's getting the rushing TDs too. That's going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think Clemson is for real. I think, too early to be talking, but I think Miami, Clemson looking like the ACC game down the road. That's going to be a dogfight.
It does look. I would say that is the ACC championship is Miami Clemson. For Heisman, the only other people I could even think of, maybe Jeremiah Smith. I know he's a freshman over there at Ohio State. You still have Riley Leonard at Notre Dame and Bo Nix at Oregon. I just think those teams aren't playing to their potential, and they're probably out of it at this point unless Notre Dame goes undefeated and somehow wins a national championship. I don't even see it happening. But yeah, that was kind of our Week 6 recap. Did I miss anything, Stu? Anything you want to talk about Week 6?
No, I mean, I think we know for sure that Purdue's pretty awful at football, and that's besides that. I mean,
that is what it is.
I don't know. And the final thing I'd just say is America wins. Army and Navy,
Yes.
These teams are both playing phenomenal. Navy's 18 for 18 in the red zone, number one team in the country, scoring a touchdown every single time they enter the red zone. And then Army is just killing people with their run game. The All-American Bowl at the end of the year, once the playoffs get started, that's going to be one of the biggest games of the year. It's exciting to see the military academies back at it. And they're both good this year.
This used to be like some of the best teams in the country were Army and Navy. I would love to see, does Coast Guard have a team?
Give me but the Air Force has been pretty lousy this year. They've been pretty lousy.
All right, let's jump into week 7. We have a lot of good games. Super exciting. College football is in a great place. We talked about it. Last week was kind of like a volcano week where a lot of surprises happened and a lot of games were tighter than everyone has thought. I mean, no one in their right mind had Vanderbilt beating Alabama. That was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing to watch. Week 7 has a lot of very good games. I think not all these great games have good bets on them, but they're fun to watch, so I'm going to bet on them and make the games a little bit juicier. First game I want to go through, Ohio State versus Oregon. This is a super high-stake game, top 3 matchup. I mean, we got number 2 versus number 3 but in Oregon. You know, we talked about this earlier in the pod, how I think this game's super important for Ohio State and Oregon. I think that this is just like what you play for. This is what's going to show what team is going to come out and be a dominant program in the college football. I think the key factors here for Ohio State are bring that freaking powerful, beautiful, sexy offense that they have. Bring it to the game. They are Will Howard is backed by like great receivers in Buka and Jeremiah Smith, and they stretch these defenses. They have all these opportunities to score. I like them a lot here. I think Oregon's defense has kind of gotten better in pass coverage and pretty good during the pass rush. I think they're in the top 15 for both sacks and EPA against the run and pass. Offensively, Tez Johnson has been a consistent playmaker, man. He's racking up receptions and giving Oregon an edge and maintaining drives and responding to the Buckeyes' potent offense. I think that he can do it, right? Like he could go against that offense and come back and score on them, score against their defense. I'm sorry, and give them a chance. Here, personally, if I'm putting money, I like OSU here at -3. I think Ohio State's the best team in the country right now. I think their offense is the best offense in the country right now. This is a tight spread. I think this game goes, 30 to 25, 24, around there. I think it's Ohio State edges them out by a little bit. What do you think about this game?
I'm glad you're on that side because I think the Buckeyes are going to beat the tar out of the Ducks. I really do. I think they're a lot better than Oregon. I think Oregon's got a really, really good offense. It's fun to watch. A lot of eye candy. You got to be unbelievably disciplined with the kind of motion and where they attack you on the perimeter. They got that dynamic tight end Ferguson they used. Their running game started to emerge a little. O-line's getting a little healthier. But this is just way too much Ohio State. You got a Jim Knowles defense. They're unbelievably disciplined. They got the talent up front. Tuliamaloa, Williams, Hamilton, Sawyer. These guys are all going to play at the next level. They've all been playing together for 2 years. This is big trouble for Oregon. Ohio State's going to get pressure off the middle. You play one of these offenses that runs a lot of these jet sweeps, attacks a lot of the perimeter. The way you beat them is you get those big guys to play up front, up the middle, and stuff the run. And Ohio State's going to stuff the run. And then they have the secondary. Oregon hasn't seen a secondary like this. I like watching Tez Johnson. I love the Evan Stewart transfer. I like Ferguson a lot, the tight end. But Ohio State's secondary can man up and play them on the perimeter. Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock coming in the nickel, Lathan Ransom. They got all kinds of players. And Ohio State's defense has shut down everyone. They held Michigan State under 250 yards. They held Iowa to under 225 yards. Iowa hasn't had a pretty good offense this year by their standards. Ohio State, I know this doesn't sound as good because I just named the Navy stat, but Ohio State's 21 for 21 in the red zone. 20 of those 21 have been touchdowns. They're getting in the red zone. They're scoring touchdowns. Will Howard can throw some dimes. He still can make a mistake. He's got a pick in 3 straight games, but he could throw some dots. He only threw 4 incompletions last game to match his 4 touchdowns. So I like the Buckeyes. I think they're going to win handily, and I think Oregon might get embarrassed here.
Oh, embarrassed. So you like the spread there too at -3?
Yeah, I like the spread for sure.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's a fun money. Like if you're gonna do a parlay, throw Ohio State there on money line. I like the spread there. I would stay away from the over under on total points, but I think Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country. I think they've showed that they haven't shown me anything otherwise. Give me Ohio State all day. Next big game I got Ole Miss versus LSU. We're talking about a big SEC showdown. Number 9 taking on number 13. I think LSU's 13, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're 13.
Yep.
Ole Miss heads into this matchup as a slight favorite, known for their strong offensive setup with under head coach Lane Kiffin. Quarterback Jackson Dark leads an explosive passing game with the wide receiver Trey Harris ranking as a top performer in the SEC. Ole Miss has an advantage in the air, but Harris' health remains a question after he left the game due to a leg injury. If he plays, which I haven't seen any news today, if he plays, that could be a big difference. On defense, Ole Miss has been surprisingly effective this season, allowing only 7.5 points per game and ranking among the better teams in the early down yardage. LSU, coming off a bye, improved their offensive game behind quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, currently the second leading passer in the SEC. However, their defense has been super weak this year, particularly on downs where they rank 120th in EPAs allowed. This gives an advantage to Ole Miss, known for strategic play calling, early down efficiency. LSU does not have home field advantage in Death Valley, which is known to be one of the most challenging environments for the visiting team. Sorry, does have. I like here. I think this game is going to be a dog. I think people are going to. This is going to be low scoring. I like it here at under 64. I think games. So I saw something like games that are predicted with 60 or higher have only hit about less than 33% or something like that this year, 37% this year. So I like the under here at total points.
I have no play on this game, but if I had to take a play, I was actually looking at that under. I'm a little scared of it, but Ole Miss's defense has been really good this year. They allowed the most they've allowed this year is 20 to Kentucky in their 2017 loss, but 13 to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's not the level of Ole Miss, but they actually have a pretty good offense this year. 6 to Wake Forest on the road. They shut them down. And 3 to South Carolina and Middle Tennessee. I mean, Middle Tennessee's and South Carolina's offenses are terrible, but so I'd probably lean with the under here. As far as the game, I'm a little terrified. I do think Ole Miss is the better team. I think they're more balanced, but like you were mentioning with Harris and the injury, he's been their best player on the perimeter. They go to him all the time. And Lane Kiffin said he's pretty hurt. I don't think he's going to be playing.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't see any news today. I saw yesterday that he's pretty hurt. They didn't know if they were going to play. I haven't seen any news today. This is when we're filming this on Wednesday. You guys are listening to this on Thursday. So kind of keep your bet based off that. Again, I'm talking about the best games, not necessarily the best bets yet. But this is going to be a phenomenal game. I think either way, I think it's going to be a fun watch. Make sure you guys tune into that one. Go back, and we have a special caller coming in. He's jumping on. He's joining us. Let's talk about it. We've got Charlie Pigskin joining us for one specific game.
What is up, boys? What is up? What a week of college football. I can't join you for long. I got to get ready.
I only want to talk to you about
flight.
one game and one game only. We're going to talk
to me.
Florida, Tennessee.
Is it USC Penn State?
No. It's Florida, Tennessee. We're talking Florida, Tennessee here. I feel like this is I don't feel like I need to say anything here. Gators going to Tennessee, taking on the number 8 team in the country. We have a pretty underwhelming Florida team, right? Pretty underwhelming, pretty underachieving Florida team going against this Tennessee team who's done pretty well, except for, they just came off a loss from Arkansas. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be wanting that win. Stu, how do you feel about this game?
I took the under with Charlie. We hit that under at 55, a key number. We got that on Sunday, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. It actually went down, and now it bumped back up over 55. But even though the market's going the other way, I still feel good about it. As far as the spread, I don't really have a great read on it for a couple reasons. One, Tennessee opened as a 14-point favorite to a better Arkansas team last week. So immediately off that, I say you're either going to take the favorite here, Tennessee, or you're going to hit the road. But at the same time, I mean, Florida's coming after that bye week. They looked really impressive last week against UCF. And then their 2 losses are to 2, I think, top 15 teams in the country. One of them top 5 in Miami, and then Texas A&M. So I'm not sure Florida's as bad as the disaster that the national media made them out to be the first 2 weeks. And I just know Tennessee's having issues with those tackles. That the health of those tackles, it's just not traditionally a good matchup.
Yeah.
And I just don't like this offense covering 15.5 right now. So if you didn't get this number at Sunday or Monday when it was 13 or 14, I just think it's get out of there.
Charlie Pigskin. Listen, I know you've had a rough year,
listen,
dude. I know you've had a rough year. I know.
It's been a beautiful year. Just
I mean, Graham Mertz.
We're on a winning streak right now. We're on a winning streak.
So I guess it is a streak. It is a streak.
We're streaking. We're streaking. You know?
I like Florida here
Mississippi
to
State
cover the spread. I think Florida's in desperation mode. I think if they cover the spread here, it's a huge win for Florida and Florida fans. I think you guys could go home and be excited that you covered a spread against a very tough Tennessee team. How do you feel about this game? Talk to me.
I mean, first of all, this is a rivalry game where covering spreads does not matter. This is not a cover the spread, and no, it just isn't. I mean, just like I don't care if we win by 14. I mean, we lose by 14 and cover the spread. That would be awful. I mean, look, Billy Napier, awful coach. Our offense, even last week when we played well, didn't score a point in the second half. I think Tennessee's defense, my biggest worry is like Tennessee's defense, I think it's just going to swallow Florida's offense. I know last year they didn't, but it's predictable. It's not, it's easy to stop. And I think Tennessee this year's defense is real. Even last week against Arkansas, I thought was their worst game of the year, and they only gave up like 20-something points. I love the under here, mostly because I think Florida's not going to score a lot, and Tennessee's offense is like going on 3-4 games where they just have no pass game downfield, which is just odd for that type of team. But it's Florida Tennessee, man. We won 17 of 19. This is the game that Peyton Manning will have to live the rest of his days 0-4, never beating the Florida Gators. If you're a 68-year-old Tennessee fan, you've seen less victories in this rivalry than an 11-year-old Florida fan. An 11-year-old Florida fan has seen more victories. 13-year-old Florida fan has seen 11 victories in this. A 68-year-old from Tennessee has only seen 10. So,
oh man,
I love it. This is a game like we suck. I don't think we're good at all. I didn't think we were good last year, and I thought Tennessee was pretty good, and we waxed them. So hopefully more of the same. I'm not confident about it at all, but I can't wait to watch it.
So you like the? So you like? Is this your as a Florida fan? So in my eyes, in my friends that are Florida fans, you have Florida Miami, great rivalry. Florida State, great rivalry. Florida Georgia, top tier. Florida Tennessee, better than Florida Georgia, or like?
No. Florida Georgia is like, Florida Georgia, like the history of Florida football, it's a one rival. Like it's always our most important game. It's got like so much tradition. Tennessee really was a product of the 90s. Like both Florida and Tennessee kind of rose up. Phil Fulmer and Steve Spurrier like restarted those programs really well, and it just became the biggest one of the, like how Alabama LSU is over the last 15 years. That's what Florida Tennessee was in the 90s. Like it went from even though we shared conferences, we rarely played. But I mean it's real now. I think I know neither team is each other's top rival, but each team has an argument to be the most hated rival. Like I've been to Knoxville, and let's just say I've heard they're nice fans. They're not nice fans of Florida. I'll tell you that. I've seen that.
And it's also you got like the oranges, you got the Florida
orange,
orange, the Tennessee oranges.
Dude, that Tennessee orange, you do not want to see that on a hungover day where you're a little nauseous. You might throw up. That is
that creamsicle orange.
Little. Oh my
Stu,
God.
are you okay? Are you okay over there, Stu?
Man.
I'm fine. We're gonna be singing Rocky Top all night long. We're 16-point favorites. Danny White, our athletic director, who's the brother of the failed basketball Florida coach, another failed coach. He's going to make his money because he raised those ticket prices to those season fans. He owes them a show, and the show's coming to Neyland. Tennessee also great scheduling by Danny White. You know, we got Alabama as a look-ahead game next week. That's our biggest rival. Way to get a cupcake in the week before. You know, have this game over in the third quarter. The band's going to get a lot of work this week, and you know, Tennessee's going to be marching into Tuscaloosa next week for the biggest game of the next week's schedule.
Oh man, these Bulls, they don't get they're tough to crack, man. They're tough to crack, these Bulls.
Let me tell you something. I one of my favorite fan bases to read. I love a good shot in Florida when a team loses. I love going back to their like top fans and reading through all their tweets. I mean, I just sit there with a smile on my face for hours. There's no fan base funner to do that with than Tennessee. I mean, I go to Vol 98 recruiting. I go to Clay Travis. I go to every single like Tennessee fan I know on Twitter, and I love reading that stuff. And if I know anything about years of reading those Tennessee fans, is this Florida team is not as good as this Tennessee team. But if that game is close, if Tennessee starts making mistakes, there's no team that makes Tennessee fans get scared like Florida does. Just ask them their whole lives. We've owned them.
I mean, listen, we're talking about shit, but Florida has the athletes, right? We're not talking about a team that doesn't have the athletes. They have the players to do it. They just don't have the coaching.
I don't know. I don't think we have the players. I think our team is not very talented. And the talent is very young. But this is not I believe in Florida. This Gator football team or this coaching staff. Believe me. I will say the defensive staff is similar to what we had last year, and we had a great game plan. Obviously, this time hype will be ready. It's not the same Tennessee fan. I don't think Nico's played great the last month, but he's also not. He's not. What's this guy's name that overthrew everyone? Joe Milton. Joe Milton. He couldn't even hit he couldn't hit this. He couldn't hit the field last year, and he had open people everywhere. He just missed everyone. So I don't think it'll be the same, but no, I'm excited. There's a really fun rivalry. Like you said, every rivalry that Florida has its own unique thing, and this Tennessee game, it's just exciting. There's been some epic games.
Well, Charlie, I'm excited. I'm happy you're able to jump in here, talk to us about your beautiful Florida Gators, and hopefully, I'm hoping for a Florida. I want them to cover the spread. I want them to show up. I don't need them to win by any means, but I do need them to cover the spread. I want to see your eyes glisten when they win, and I like to see Stu's eye go down because Stu's got two teams technically. He always goes for two teams, which is unfair.
Both top 10, one's top 5. That's great.
Yeah, Stu's having a great year. Stu's having a great year.
I just hope they don't play each other in the playoffs because I know they're
He's having a great year.
But poor Carlos has just been in the trenches this year, dude. In the trenches.
Don't feel bad for me.
I mean, I feel bad. You guys were on top of the world at one point, and now you're just like...
Yeah, I've seen the mountaintop. Tennessee fans haven't seen
the Rocky Mountaintop, baby.
Does it feel like 98?
They're good at seeing it.
Feels like 98. Champions of life, man.
Those last couple of weeks, those last couple of weeks haven't felt like 98. I'll tell you that. I've been watching that.
Do you think when they saw the Vanderbilt,
Arkansas.
When they saw Vanderbilt, Alabama, were they just sad because their stadium's pretty close to the river? It's not far at all. They just see the Vanderbilt take their field goal all the way across Nashville, just be like, mother, damn it.
That was so epic. Hey, I gotta go.
Thank you so much
for joining you. I hope I could join full time next week. What a slate of college football. I hope.
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Later.
Stu, we're back. Just you and me. It was nice to see Charlie Pigskin there talk shit about your Tennessee team. We all know Tennessee's going to destroy Florida. It's not even funny. I just feel bad for the guy, But I do like the spread. I like the spread there at plus 60. I think that's a little high. I'm going to give Florida a little bit more benefit of the doubt, hoping that they come through. Big game for them. Tennessee could not care less about this game. They're going to go see Alabama next week. So I think, it's a big spread. Big spread. Let's go back. Texas versus Oklahoma. Okay? So we were talking about it. Iconic Red River rivalry. This is a huge, huge game, right? Number 1 versus number 18. Texas, number 1 team in the country. We talked about it in the early college football preview that I did earlier this year. This is one of my favorites to win the whole thing. I think they're a very good team. Oklahoma, also very good. Ranked a little bit lower, facing a tough season, but they bring a lot of intensity to this game. Personally, I like this game at over 49.5. I think as long as Oklahoma's offense shows up, right, that's going to be the real trick. As long as Oklahoma's offense shows up, this game is averaging, historically in the last 15 years, is averaging plus 70. So as long as both offenses kind of show up, I like the over here at 49.5. Buddy, do you have anything on this game?
I was looking at that over early on, but I actually got away from it, and I'm kind of happy. I'd watch out with that. Man, Oklahoma's defense has been really impressive. I do have a pick on this play. I like the number. I like Oklahoma with the points. I think this is way too many points for a winnable game.
At 14.5, right?
Yeah, sure. Texas is the better team, and they got to be feeling like the better team this season going in there with the with the O-line, and then Quinn Ewers coming back. Oklahoma's starting Michael Hawkins Jr., a true freshman, in the Red River rivalry. I get it, but this is way too many points. This makes no sense to me. Texas hasn't played anybody. I mean, they got overrated off a Michigan team Michigan's not even a top 25 team right now. They stink. They were late in the third quarter, up 14-6 against Mississippi State, probably the worst team in the SEC. That's not a very dominating number one team like performance in the country to me. And then Louisiana Monroe, they got the score. Looks like they killed them, but I mean, it took them a little while. I mean, Arch threw 2 picks. I mean, Texas is just they can get beat, and Oklahoma has done it before. Oklahoma's won 4 of the last 5 in this matchup. Brent Venables is bringing in one of the best defenses Oklahoma's had in over a decade. They got depth and heavy rotations on their whole defensive line. They have an elite safety in Bill Bowman. Danny Stutzman is one of the best linebackers in the country. Our Mason Thomas is one of the most elite DNs in the country. He's leading the SEC with 5.5 sacks. They're solid on the interior. Dominique Williams, we talked about him, the TCU transfer coming in. J.D. Jackson, the true freshman's emerged. David Stone, the 5-star freshman's barely even getting in, but he gets reps. Ethan Downs, a solid D end. I think they're going to shut down Texas's run game. I'm leaning, if I'm going to go Sooners first half. I think I'm just going to take the total points in the game at 14.5. But I don't think they'll be able to turn over Texas. Oklahoma's been really good at turning people over and playing good defense in the red zone. But if they can stay in this game early, I mean, Texas is not going to want to open it up, especially with Ewers coming off an oblique injury. He got hurt throwing the ball non-contact. I mean, Texas wants to win this game, but they're not going to try and win by 17 if this game's, a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. I really like the Sooners here.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They'll take out Euros. They'll put in a young Manning.
Yeah.
Ready, willing to take this team.
Arch is great and all, but I mean, he showed some freshman mistakes in his 2 starts. The one thing I do think Arch does better than Ewers is I think he's a better athlete with his feet. We've seen Arch take off and hit guy's legs. Sark's going to stay with Ewers. There's no controversy here. I mean, Ewers has played in these games. This is a big rivalry game in the neutral stadium. They actually move it to 3:30 now. It used to always be played at 12. So these fans get to go get a little sauce stuff at the carnival. And it's one of the most wild environments, just with the way they split the stadium half and half. Yeah. It seems like every big play, like it's kind of like it's a fight between the fans. It's like a boxing fight with the fans. Yeah. I'm so excited to watch this. I do think the Sooners can win this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get healthy off this bye week. Farouk's been hurt. Nick Anderson's been hurt. Deion Burks is supposed to be back. He's a superstar. Mm-hmm. I know their offense is bad, but they've had a lot of injuries. And that Petaway kid, when I was watching that Tennessee game, he was their 4th receiver. He's stud. I've said you can get after Texas's secondary. Let's see if the Diaper Dandy can have a game, man.
Let's
shock the world.
Let's see it, baby. Michael Hawkins. See if he's got it in him.
Yep.
All right, next big game. And me and you are on different sides on this game. I already know. Penn State going to USC. All right, let's talk about it a little bit. Okay? Penn State has a strong run game. The defense, probably one of the best in the country, allowing only 11.4 points per game. Excelling at limiting opponents to minimal rushing yards. Running back Nicholas Singleton leads their ground attack, while quarterback Drew Eller adds balance. He's got great passing efficiency. USC at 3-2, looking to bounce back after a loss to Minnesota. Offense is super pass heavy, led by Miller Moss, who has accumulated nearly 1,400 yards this season. USC averages 30 points per game, but has struggled defensively, allowing 18.4 points per game and significantly large on the ground. This could only help Penn State because we just talked about it, great at running. Betting trends, Penn State is favored about 5.5 points. But USC has a high score potential here. USC's got a big old offense on them. I think they could pull it in all together, right? Kind of play their defense in order just to stop this run game. And I feel like they're going to cover this at 5.5. I think these are two very these coaches on both sides here are often criticized for like their big games and like their underperformance. And I think they both have talented squads. I think USC has to win this game. It's a must-win situation for them in order for them to even have a chance to even be talked about for the college football playoffs. I don't know why I like USC here at plus 5.5. I know you're gonna go Penn State. I know you think they're better at 3.5.
I think they're a lot better.
But they're dude. They have the talent. We're talking about a very good USC talented team, right? Like this is a team that came in saying, "Hey, these guys might be a top 10 team coming into the season." Granted, they're 3-2. had some kind of shitty losses. But I blame those on the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a super interesting game. This might actually be the best, more of an NFL style game. When we look back next week at all these games, I think this one probably has that kind of chemistry to it and makeup to it. Charlie Pigskin and I were all over this one on Sunday when it's at Penn State 3.5, and that's when we slammed it. I know you got USC at 5.5, so we're kind of on different numbers here. We're not truly head to head. I will say this: I do like Penn State all the way up to 6.5. I am really high on Penn State though. I thought they looked really good against UCLA. A little slow out the gate, but they wore them down. And my questions on Penn State to start this year was with the defense. Man, this defense the last couple of weeks has been unbelievable. They're stout up front. They're stunting down the run. They have all kind of creative blitzes. They tackle great in the secondary. The secondary gets in and they send a lot of pressure, and that terrifies me with the Trojans for two reasons. USC could not block Minnesota last week, and they had trouble blocking Wisconsin. A lot of it's been due to injury. This is not the same team we saw play LSU. It stinks, but they've been a little bit hurt, and the guards have been struggling. So that interior pressure, Penn State has some guys that can get up there, and they're sending those safeties down right in the box, right up the A-gap. And I just don't think Miller Moss has the athleticism to do anything. He threw a pick getting hit the other week. He's just not this kind of athlete. If you make Miller Moss uncomfortable, you can beat him. I mean, Minnesota was able to do that. And the second thing that scares me is this USC defense has some injuries going along it too. And they had a chance to stop Michigan, and they just got worn out of gas, got worn down, couldn't make the tackle. And they had the same thing with Minnesota. Minnesota went on a 12-play drive. I believe they ran the ball 10 of the 12 plays. And USC just could not get off the field. And if you wear them down, you can beat them. And these two Penn State backs, Allen and then Nick Singleton. Nick Singleton should be back coming off of a week rest. He's a player. They're big backs. They're tough to tackle. They play a lot like Damian Harris. They are really big backs. And then Penn State, they feature Tyler Warren all over the field. This guy's like Travis Kelce in college football. He's an NFL tight end. They feature him all over these formations. Their offense looks a lot like Oregon's with this Andy Kotelnicki with all the pre-snap motions. It's really fun to watch. And Liam Clifford's emerged as an unbelievable player for them in the slot. Now it's not just Amari Evans. They can beat you in a lot of ways. Drew Aller's still not elite at throwing the ball down the field, but he can make these throws this year, and I think Penn State's for real.
Damn, so I couldn't even get you close on my line.
No, I think USC's got a lot of injuries.
6.5. Do you think 6.5? Do you think that's 7?
I would take them over to 6.5. I wouldn't touch it at 7. That at home, USC's a really good team. Number 4, that Khalil kid, or I forget his name, he's unbelievable. And then they have some really good playmakers. Lincoln Riley can find a way to get the ball in the end zone, even with Miller Moss getting pressure. I remember Michigan, Miller Moss was on his back every single play. And then Minnesota was able to get pressure, and they have injuries there on the O-line. And Penn State's defense has gone to a different level.
You're breaking my heart.
Yeah.
You're breaking my heart. That was my favorite bet this week. It was my upset alert. I had them and LSU as my upsets in my eyes. That's what I see as an upset. All right, big game.
I could tell you this. I could tell you one more stat. Big Ten, these cross-country travels, these far travel games, Big Ten teams only. The home team is 9-1 against these away teams. Against the spread. I mean, I think just straight up actually.
We have to talk about the Miami Cal at some point. That is
the flight so far. The Penn State's got to fly out of a different airport. It's a 2-hour drive over there. James Franklin's complaining that they need to make the runway longer at Penn State's regional airport.
Jeez.
He's got to fly out of Harrisburg. It's a long travel. I think they're going a day early because of it. But
that was
we've seen some weird things in these cross country games.
And cross country conference games, not even like outliers. These are conference games. Miami, I think, traveled their truck, equipment truck. I think traveled 36 hours or something like that to get over there.
In the 40s, they left on like a Tuesday. They got there on Monday. Got there on Friday.
That's freaking
just before the game.
Ridiculous, man. That's freaking ridiculous. Yeah, man. I mean, I watched that game like an old man. I was miserable. It was 2:00 in the morning. What are we doing here? Why are we losing this game? It was awful. I hope we never have to do that again. We're probably going to have to.
The algorithm is for real, man. That's all I can say.
The algorithm, too. So the next big game I have, it's kind of big this week, only in the sense that they just came off a huge win. Vanderbilt, Kentucky. It's real quick. Real quick. Kentucky has home field advantage here. I think Vanderbilt has some defensive vulnerabilities here. I like Kentucky here at -14. I think that is a huge like I feel Kentucky's way better than Vanderbilt here. Am I crazy saying that?
No, and I think the spot favors them too. I thought about playing it because the spot. Man, covering a double-digit spread with an offense like Kentucky's is I just can't get comfortable with that, which is why I have no play on this game. But I do agree with your read. There's going to be a lot of hype on Vandy with what Vandy's done, taking Missouri to double overtime, beating Alabama, beating Virginia Tech. They're really not that good.
They're not that good.
Yeah, Kentucky at home with a Mark Stoops defense. I do think Kentucky's going to win this game. What really scares me is Vandy runs a lot of – it was fun to watch their offense. The way they attack the perimeter, all the motion. They were giving Alabama problems. But Kentucky has Deani Walker. They have the best nose tackle in the country, sitting in the middle. This guy's 6'6", 345 pounds and can move. I think when you have a guy like that and there's no threat up the middle, I think Kentucky and Mark Stoops are going to come up with some pretty good ways to slow down Pavia in this Vanderbilt offense. Do they cover 13.5? I don't feel great about that.
That's what I'm saying.
But I do think Kentucky wins this game comfortably.
The other thing about Vanderbilt is it's like what I did like about them is they took the lead on Alabama and they didn't let off the gas pedal, right? Like they kept going. A lot of times you'll see games against these bigger teams, they'll kind of, they'll go up a little bit and then all of a sudden Alabama come in and swoop and run them over. And that's how you have Alabama, winning by 14 against a crappier team at the end. In this case, Vandy did not let up on them. They kept coming down their throats. I think they're going to be gassed for this game. I think Kentucky's going to really bring it to them. I'm hoping that they make a spread. Again, money line is not a bad bet. I think this is more of a fun game to watch, just kind of see. We're talking about two teams that kind of have like a fun little story going along with them, a little Cinderella story. It'll be fun to watch. The next,
you know what? You sold me. I'm gonna take this pick too. You sold me on it.
I love it when I can convince you.
They've been in overtime and then another double overtime, and you're right. Alabama chased them down and made them earn it. They earned it. They really won that game because of that sack fumble, which is unbelievable. The Alabama tackle missed, and the guy hit Jalen Milroe on the blind side. But I do think Vanderbilt's played a lot of football, and going into Big Blue Nation, they're physical, man. Mark Stoops' defense, when they get up, they can wear you down.
Just so you know, with that face that I made, that was my O face when I convinced you to take that bet.
Yeah, I'm making it a pick. I'll roll with the Wildcats. Playing Friday night against Utah. I like the Utes in this game.
Okay.
Just because I'm assuming Cam Rising's going to play. I'm going to play this game again for the 900th time in the last 2 years. But I just think Arizona State's a great story this far in the season. I really don't think they're that good. Underwhelming opponents. I know they beat Kansas, Texas State, Mississippi State. All those teams are lousy. I mean, Texas State's offense fun with the McLeod kid, but those teams are lousy. They lost to Texas Tech. Utah's coming off their poorest performance. I just really like the spy here. I think they need a big rally, and I think Cam Rising will get the offense back on track.
Okay. I like that. All right. Alabama versus South Carolina. Alabama's got to dominate this, right? Minus 21.5. I feel like Alabama's got to win this by 40 to make up for that loss.
I do too. It's moved up, I think, to around 22.5 now. I almost want to take it still. South Carolina's offense.
They got to, right? Like they have to.
Yeah. They're just bad. They're just really, really bad. I haven't taken it. I have no play on this game. I think the Tide roll big though. There's too many points to lay for me. But I think Alabama's going to wear them down. And my worry is just with the big games on deck that Alabama's not going to be looking to throw it deep with Jalen Milroe in the third, fourth quarter if they're up by like 14, 17.
Sure. I can see that. Next bet I have, Kansas State at Colorado. Give me freaking Kansas State at 3.5. I just don't like Colorado as a team, as a program. It might be a little bit of Colorado hate, but I could do it. I could do it. I mean, this is a decent Kansas team versus an okay Colorado team. At 3.5, I think that number's perfectly set up, right where it is. How about you? How do you like it?
This game scares me a little because actually the matchup. Kansas State's been thrown all over. They let up over 300 pass yards to Tulane and Oklahoma State, and we know Colorado can throw the ball effectively, so I think they can move it well. Colorado just went in as a 2-touchdown dog and beat the brakes off of UCF by 3-4 scores. It's their biggest win in the Prime era. I do like the spot. I do like the Wildcats a lot this year. I like Avery Johnson. I like DJ Gibbons. I want to take the Wildcats. I'm a little worried. I'm probably going to make a play right before. I'm probably going to see what happens right before kickoff and make a play on this.
They
I
don't
have
call
no
you
action
smart
on it
Stu.
right now.
They don't call you smart Stu. They call you stupid Stu, buddy.
Yeah, I want to lean with my Wildcats, but I just can't do it. I just really can't do it right now.
All right, I have Boise State versus Hawaii as my last bet. I have that game. Give me the over a 61. I think we're talking about not very good defenses scoring all over the place. I think Ashton Genty's going to run all he wants during this game. He's going to go for that record. Give me the over at 61. How do you feel about this one?
I had to lean to the over, and I'm going to make it a pick now that you got it. Let's row in the same direction here. Let's start rowing the boats.
Let's roll,
Boise's
baby.
5-0 this year on the over, and every single game's been covered by over 17 points. They are blowing the overs out of the water. Their defense is letting up a lot of big plays and yards. Hawaii hasn't played anyone, but and their defense has played well, but I'm not going to overvalue it based on playing nobody. I think Hawaii's going to be very capable of scoring against Boise at home, and Boise can score a lot of points in bunches. Give me the over too. Let's see a lot of touchdowns here.
I love when you're on my side, Stu. It makes when Stupid Stu's with me, I feel smart. That's all.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points late.
Yeah,
it's a lot of high fives at midnight. It's a lot of high fives at midnight.
Exactly. It's going to be a lot of fun at midnight. It's going to be a lot of moves in the group chat, a lot of conversation when there's nothing else going on. It's super exciting. All right, Stu, I know you have some more bets for me. Talk to me. What do we miss?
One of my favorite bets of this week is Clemson first half minus 11.5. I like them in the full game too by 20. They're going at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is terrible, guys. I love Dave Clawson. He's one of my favorite underrated coaches in college. I don't know about underrated, but he's been done unbelievable at that Wake Forest program. Clemson is for real this year. This is a top 7, top 8 team. Peter Woods is coming back off a couple of weeks. That guy is Ruben Bain 2.0. Cade Klubnik, like I said, verging in the Heisman race. This guy's playing out of his mind. He's thrown over 14 or 15 touchdowns this year. He's on Cam Ward's trail. He's playing great. Wake Forest, bad against the rush, horrible against the pass. Clemson, one of the most balanced attacks they've had in years. Significantly more explosive plays. The receiving core is unbelievable. Brian Westco's one of the top playmakers in the country in yards per play, over 24. Antonio Williams had that great catch for FSU, ran through 2 tackles and got into the end zone. TJ Moore, the Spider-Man guy, I don't know what that is, but he scores touchdowns and does Spider-Man. He's really good.
I don't know
Sapp
if he
had
deals
a
with
catch.
that guy, but
Sapp had some good catches. Moff was unbelievable. This Clemson team is like these old Dabo teams, and some people haven't woken up to it yet. And Wake Forest is horrible. Old Miss beat them 40-6. Clemson's going to beat this team 70 to nothing. I don't know. I like everything on Clemson in this game. That's one of my favorite picks. Let's see what else I have here.
Bet the full line on Clemson.
Oh, I'm taking the first half, and I got the game. I think.
I love that.
I think Clemson's significantly better. Another game I got here. I'm taking Cal. I'm rolling with the Cal algorithm. They sold me. What a game
the
day.
Bears, baby.
Cal at Pitt. Well, that's a pretty good game, man, in the ACC. Fernando Mendoza against Eli Holston, 2 of the top quarterbacks outside of Cam Ward, both playing really well. To me, the difference is going to be the Cal secondary. First in the country in interceptions. I think Justin Wilcox has a bad taste in his mouth after last week. I think he's going to come with a really good game plan. Pitt's outperforming their talent. They beat a bad West Virginia and Cincy team by 1 point and 4 points, I think. And then they had to come back and rally to UNC late. UNC's not good. Cal, to me, is kind of the opposite. They're a little better than their record. I mean, they dropped that game to FSU. They just had a bad game. But, I mean,
right.
They played great versus Miami. It wasn't like
really
Miami
good.
played this. Miami played bad. They had some busted coverages and stuff, uncharacteristic. But Cal played unbelievable.
No,
that game.
they moved that ball. A lot of great passes. A lot of good, great movement on the offense.
So roll on you Bears. I'm rolling with the Bears. I'm rolling with the Cal algorithm, critical race theory, whatever it is. Let's go Bears.
Nice.
Georgia, and then another game I have. I like the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech at UNC. GT has been good in the red zone. Decent passing attack. Haynes King's playing well. I know people don't like him. He's playing really well. And And then Georgia Tech, if you want to beat them, they're really weak in the secondary, but I don't think UNC can exploit that. Jacoby Criswell's not very good. Last 2 weeks I've seen him
buzz this year, man.
Yeah, his passing game. I mean, Omari and Hampton, the run game's good, but I mean, Georgia Tech's okay against the run. They're not terrible. And then on offense, they do a lot of stuff that puts you in trouble. Red Key runs a really good system. They finish off drives. They protect the ball this year. I think they're more than 6 points better than UNC. I'm taking them first half -3.5 though. I just like that number better. And then the last one I have, this one I don't love, but I have West Virginia +3. Iowa State's at West Virginia. Iowa State's the better team here. But West Virginia has been able to get a little scrappy in some games with teams. They beat Kansas. They were scrappy a little bit with Penn State before Penn State blew them out in the second half. I like this night game in Morgantown. Give me the country roads. Cyclones are trying to be 6-0 for the first time since 1930s. That's a stat that tells me they're probably not going to get to 6-0. And then West Virginia trying to snap a 7-game losing streak against AP top 25 teams. Rocco Beck, the Iowa State QB, I like him. This Iowa State team, great defense, and they play a little bit of passing attack. His dad's actually a West Virginia Mountaineer. He's getting inaugurated into the West Virginia Ring of Honor at halftime. Tell me those fans aren't going to be going crazy. And then also, the Mountaineers are busting out their Cole uniforms. These things look phenomenal. Give me the Coal Miners. Give me the country roads. And they're catching the points. Winnable game. No-brainer.
You sold me on West Virginia right now. I was not going to put anything on this game. And now I almost want West Virginia everything. Give me everything on
Garrett Green is like fun to watch when you have money on him. He's not that good, but he runs for his life. He can make the plays. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, they're very impressive receivers for Iowa State. They got to keep them under control. But this quarterback needs a big win, man. He needs to staple his West Virginia career. This is the night game they do it.
I think that line you just said is the reason why normal people like to sports bet, right? Like, we're not career sports better where this is all we do for a life. We're not making our living off of sports betting. We're just regular guys, like to put money. And I think what you're saying about, like, it just makes the game funner and these players look better when you have money, when you have something to risk on them, right? Like a game like West Virginia versus Iowa State can mean nothing to me in the real world.
To them, it's big time, man. To them, Iowa State's coming in with the number 11 next to their name. Morgantown night game.
But then I have $30 on this game now. Be like, oh, well, now I care. You know,
and you know that place is going to be going crazy.
It's going to be bumping. It's going to be bumping.
The Ring of Honor, putting this guy's dad in the Ring of Honor. He's not even cheering for his son. This is crazy.
Listen, we have a great week. I think that we talked about it earlier in the pod. I think this is a super fun, phenomenal weekend for college football. I think next weekend is also going to be phenomenal. We'll talk about that one when we get over there. But thank you so much for.
I got one final sign off too before.
Go for it.
Go for this 4-way money line parlay. I'm feeling good. I like the Yellow Jackets. I like the Bears, Cal Bears, Ohio State. Sorry, Kevin, Penn State. Plus 715. Go ahead. Lock down that 4-way parlay for all you parlay people.
You broke my heart. Parlay and pray, baby. Parlay and pray. I'll take it. Parlay and pray. So listen, you guys are awesome. Stu, thank you so much. You're an incredible guest. You guys, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you guys check us out. We have geocaches going. I'm back. I'm healthy. They'll be out there again. Well, as soon as this hurricane passes, I'll be out there again. We've got some big things coming along. We've got some merch coming. We've got a group chat. Make sure you guys DM me, hit me up. If you guys want to be part of the group chat, join in. We're going to be talking different bets. We're going to throw some picks out there. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our socials, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you listen, wherever you watch, we're there haunting your little eyes and feeding you content that you love. Guys, thank you so much. Stu, thank you so much. Have an incredible weekend. God bless football. Thank you.
You've been listening to First Step. We told you we don't take this too seriously, didn't we? I'd say we've proven that. Yes, we love sports, and we love sports betting. But we like the funner side, not the stuffy side. We hope you had a blast like we did. If so, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram and TikTok at First Step Bets. See you next time on First Step.